She said it like she was negotiating a cable bill. I need to experience other men before I can marry you. I looked at her and said, okay. Hey friends, please subscribe and turn on notifications, like this video, and leave a comment with your impressions. This will be a great help. Thank you. We never tire of reminding you. It's all thanks to you. The thing that still stings isn't even the sentence. It's the way she said it while standing barefoot in our kitchen, calm as a weather report, as if she'd already decided I would absorb it and keep smiling. The night before, our home looked like a wedding staging area. Not the romantic kind, the logistical kind. There was a thick folder on the counter. Our venue contract for a restored barn outside Madison, Wisconsin, open to the page with the payment schedule. The catering invoice was clipped to the front, and the numbers were highlighted like I was studying for a test. Next to it was a little acrylic sign sample that said, "Welcome to our forever," and underneath it, a seating chart printout covered in pencil marks and crossed-out cousins. We were 6 weeks out, 42 days. I knew because the countdown app on Marissa's phone was on the home screen, and she liked to show it to me like a promise. I'd come home from work late. I'm a facilities manager for a regional medical center, which means half my job is preventing small problems from becoming major crises. That day had been a mix of HVAC alarms and a roof leak over an imaging suite. I walked in, loosened my tie, and saw Marissa standing at the counter with her laptop open and her favorite mug of peppermint tea cooling beside it. "Good news," she said, without smiling. "My mom finally agreed to stop pushing the country club. She's on board with the barn." I stepped closer, kissed her temple, and looked down at the paperwork. "That's huge. We're almost there." She turned the mug in her hands, staring into the tea like it had answers. "That's actually what I wanted to talk about. There are ways people say that when they mean, I forgot to mail the invitations. And there are ways people say that when they mean, I have rehearsed this conversation." Her voice had that rehearsed smoothness. "I've been thinking," she said, "and I don't think it's responsible to get married when there's still curiosity." I didn't react right away. I just waited. Marissa had always been good with words. She worked in brand strategy for a big outdoor retailer, presentations, campaigns, telling stories that made people feel certain. When she wanted something, she could make it sound like the obvious, healthiest, most mature choice. "What kind of curiosity?" I asked. She exhaled and pressed a finger to the edge of the venue contract, like she was anchoring herself. "I never really dated," she said. "Not the way people do in their 20s. I went from college to work to us. And you're wonderful, Ethan. You're steady. You're safe. But I need to know I'm choosing you, not just settling because it's convenient." There it was. That word that makes your stomach go cold. Settling. I kept my face neutral because I've spent my career learning that emotion doesn't fix leaks. It just makes the cleanup harder. "So you want what?" I said. "More time." Marissa shook her head, already prepared. "Not time. Experience." She said it like it was a health supplement. "If you love me," she continued, "you'll understand that I need certainty. I need to be sure, in my bones, that you're the one. Otherwise, what are we doing? I don't want to stand there and make vows and then wonder. That would be cruel to both of us." She reached for my hand and tried to lace her fingers through mine, and I didn't pull away, but I didn't squeeze back either. "I'm not talking about feelings," she said quickly, as if she could feel the air shifting. "It's not emotional cheating. It's clarity. It's a chapter one need to close before I can fully commit." The folder on the counter was thick enough to break a toe, and the venue contract had our names typed in clean black letters. Ethan Caldwell and Marissa Lyle. Like a fact, I asked the one question I knew would force plain language. "When you say experience, Marissa, do you mean you want permission to sleep with other men?" There was a beat where she watched my face, like she was checking if I was going to get loud, because loudness would have made her argument easier. Then she nodded once, small and firm. "Yes," she said. "I need to experience other men. Just to be sure. Then I can come back and marry you with no doubts." And she said come back, like I was a hotel she'd left a suitcase in. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I didn't ask how many or how long or whether there were already names. I just looked at her, then down at the wedding paperwork on the counter, and then back at her face. "Okay," I said. It was one syllable. Calm. Flat. The same way I'd say okay when an elevator inspection got moved up a week. Marissa blinked. Her shoulders loosened, like she'd been bracing for impact, and then realized there wasn't going to be one. "Okay," she repeated, cautious at first, then relief rushed in. You get it? Okay, I said again, and I let go of her hand gently. I'm going to take a shower. She followed me down the hall, talking faster now, filling the silence with plans. We can set boundaries, she said. It doesn't have to be messy. We can make rules. Like, no mutual friends, no coworkers, no emotional stuff. Just experience. And then we focus on us. This is actually mature, Ethan. People do this. I didn't answer. I just nodded once like I'd heard her. In the shower, the water was hot enough to turn my skin pink, and I stood there longer than I needed to, staring at the tile like it was a blank screen. It wasn't anger that hit first. It was clarity. This wasn't a rough patch. This wasn't fear. This was a proposal of a different kind. Become my backup plan while I shop around. I got out, dried off, and went to bed. Marissa cuddled close like she'd just negotiated peace in the Middle East. I knew you'd understand, she whispered into my shoulder. This is going to make us stronger. I didn't move. I stared at the dark ceiling until her breathing changed, and I knew she was asleep. That was the night I decided there would be no drama. No speeches. No begging. No fixing. Total severance. Clean lines. Receipts. I reached over, gently slid her phone off the charger, and set it back exactly where it was. I didn't open anything. I didn't touch it. I didn't need proof of what she planned. I had her words. I had my own ears. And I had the contracts on the counter. At 2:14 a.m., I opened my laptop in the living room and started a new folder labeled cancellations. It was the same way I handle a facility shutdown: sequence, documentation, confirmations. By the time the sky started turning gray, I had a checklist: venue, caterer, photographer, DJ, officiant, rental company, florist, hotel block, travel, and then ring, and then living situation. Our apartment lease was in both names. We'd renewed for another year 2 months earlier because the wedding was supposed to be the transition into house hunting. A lot of people think breakups are emotional. For adults, breakups are paperwork. At 7:30, Marissa came into the kitchen in a sweatshirt and socks and poured coffee like it was a normal Saturday. Morning, she said brightly. I'm going to meet Jenna for brunch. Wedding talk. Jenna was her closest friend, the one who always called me solid in the tone people use for furniture. Okay, I said. Marissa smiled. See? This is why I love you. You don't freak out. She leaned in for a kiss, and I let it land on my cheek. Then she left, humming, and I heard the elevator door down the hall close behind her. The minute the door latched, I started. First was the venue. The barn had a manager named Kyle who'd been responsive and professional, and there was a cancellation clause in the contract. 6 weeks out meant we'd forfeit the initial deposit, but get the second payment back if requested within 3 business days. I wrote a simple email. Hi Kyle, I'm writing to cancel the event scheduled for June 14th under the name Ethan Caldwell/Marissa Lyle. Please confirm cancellation and any refund details per contract. Thank you. I hit send at 8:06 a.m. 8 minutes later, Kyle replied with a PDF confirmation and the subject line: cancellation confirmed. He attached the refund breakdown. The $4,000 deposit was non-refundable. The $2,500 second payment would be returned to the original card within 5 to 7 business days. Receipt number 1. Next was the caterer. We'd put down $3,000. Their contract was stricter. Under 60 days, the deposit was forfeited, but any additional payments were refundable. We hadn't paid beyond the deposit yet. I called the office, got a woman named Tasha, and kept my voice steady. I need to cancel the June 14th event, I said. I understand the deposit policy. There was a pause where she softened, because people can hear the tone of a canceled wedding. I'm sorry, she said. I'll email the cancellation confirmation. At 8:41, my inbox pinged. Catering cancellation confirmed. It listed the forfeited deposit and confirmed no further charges would be processed. Receipt number 2. Then the photographer. $1,200 retainer, non-refundable. The DJ, $500, refundable if canceled before 45 days. We were at 42, so that was a loss. The rental company for chairs and linens. Full refund minus a $150 admin fee because nothing had shipped yet. The florist, partial refund because she'd already ordered dried arrangements for the aisle. Every call ended with an email. Every email went into the folder. I printed the big ones and slid them into the wedding folder that had been sitting on our counter like a shrine. By 11:30, I had a neat stack of confirmations and a spreadsheet with the financial damage totaled. The money hurt, but it wasn't catastrophic. The bigger cost would have been pretending this was love. At noon, I went to the jewelry store. The engagement ring had been purchased 2 years earlier, and I still had the original receipt and warranty card. The store's return policy was strict, no refunds past 30 days, but they offered a buyback program and consignment option. I wasn't there to make profit. I was there to remove the symbol from my life. The manager, an older man named Victor, recognized me. Wedding soon, he'd said the last time I was in for a cleaning. Not anymore, I said. He didn't ask questions. He just nodded in that way people do when they know questions won't help. He inspected the ring, verified the serial number on the paperwork, and offered consignment with a contract. I signed the agreement and watched him slide the ring into a small velvet tray and disappear behind the counter. He printed a consignment receipt and handed it to me. Receipt number 3. From there, I went straight to the leasing office. I didn't ask for anything dramatic. I asked for options. The leasing agent, Paula, pulled up our account. Both names are on the lease, she said. We can do a roommate release if one person qualifies alone, or you can do an early termination with a fee. I'd like to be released, I said. I'll sign whatever is needed. Paula looked at me carefully. We'd need Marissa to sign as well. I understand, I said. Can you print the form? She printed it. I put it in a folder with the vendor confirmations and went back upstairs. At 2:15, Marissa came home with a to-go cup and a bright little energy like she'd had a fun secret. Brunch was so good, she said. Jenna thinks we should do a mini bachelorette trip now that we have. She stopped mid-sentence because she saw the kitchen counter. The wedding folder was closed. On top of it were neatly stacked papers. My laptop was open with my spreadsheet visible. Beside it was the leasing release form. What's this? She asked, blinking fast. I canceled the wedding, I said. The words were calm. Not sharp. Not cruel. Marissa's mouth opened, then closed. What do you mean you canceled the wedding? I mean the venue is canceled, I said. Catering, photographer, rentals, florist. I have the confirmations. Her face turned red in waves, like heat rising from a stove. Ethan, she said, laughing once like it was a joke. No, you can't just. I can't, I said. My name is on the contracts. You said okay, she snapped. You said you understood. I did, I said. I understood what you asked, and I made my decision. She stared at the papers like they were written in another language. Then she grabbed the top email confirmation and scanned it, her fingers shaking. This is insane, she said. This is controlling. You're punishing me because I'm trying to be honest. I didn't argue. I just pointed to the chair. Sit down, I said, not as an order, just as a suggestion, like telling someone to take a breath. She didn't sit. She paced. You're overreacting, she said. I wasn't breaking up with you. I was trying to make sure we start our marriage right. You wanted to sleep with other men, I said. Before marrying me. It's not like that, she snapped immediately, then stopped, because it was exactly like that. It's not emotional. It's just physical. I nodded once. Okay. She flinched at the word this time. Her phone buzzed on the counter. She glanced at it, and for a fraction of a second her eyes went soft, almost pleased. Then she saw me watching and her expression tightened. Who's that? I asked, but my tone stayed neutral. Not accusatory. Just factual. No one, she said too fast. A second buzz. Then a third. Her phone screen lit up enough for me to see a preview line because it was face up. I didn't touch it. I didn't need to. The text preview was right there in plain view. Last night was fun. When can I see you again? Marissa grabbed the phone like it was hot. That was the legally plausible detail that landed like a brick. Not because I read anything private. Because it popped up on the screen in my own kitchen, face up, like life making sure I didn't second-guess myself. You already started, I said quietly. Marissa's jaw clenched. It was just, she started, then corrected herself. It doesn't matter. You said okay. I said okay, I agreed. And then I chose not to participate. She stepped closer, voice rising. So you're leaving me? Over one conversation. Over your ultimatum, I said. Over you asking me to stand still while you test drive other men. Her eyes flashed. If you were confident, you wouldn't be afraid. That line sounded like it had been rehearsed in the mirror. I nodded once again. I'm not afraid. I'm finished. She stared at me like I'd slapped her, even though I hadn't moved an inch. What about the money? She demanded suddenly, switching tactics. My parents contributed. My mom paid for the dress deposit. You just threw that away. I didn't throw it away, I said. I documented it. I'm sending your parents the cancellation confirmations, so they know what was refunded and what was forfeited. You are not emailing my parents, she snapped. I am, I said, because it's their money too. Her breathing got shallow. She went from anger to bargaining so fast, it was almost impressive. Okay, she said, holding up her hands. We can pause the whole thing. We can slow down. We don't have to cancel everything. We can just postpone. Ethan, please. It's already canceled, I said. You can undo it, she insisted. Call them back. Say it was a mistake. I looked at the stack of confirmations. They don't hold dates as a favor. They book other couples. She started crying then, abrupt tears like a faucet. I didn't think you'd do this, she said. I thought you loved me. I did, I said. That's why I won't become someone you come back to when your options don't work out. She wiped her face and turned furious again. You're making me sound like a monster. I'm repeating your words, I said. You said you need to experience other men or the wedding is off. She pointed at me. That was honesty. That was me trusting you. That was an ultimatum, I said. Her phone buzzed again. She slapped it face down. Then she tried the sweet voice, the one she used when she wanted a difficult meeting to go her way. Ethan, she said, stepping closer. Let's just talk. You're so calm right now, but you're going to regret this. People go through phases. We can do therapy. We can set rules. I can stop talking to anyone. I can. I held up my hand slightly. Not aggressively. Just a signal. I'm not negotiating, I said. I'm moving out. That landed heavier than any insult. What? She whispered. I already spoke to the leasing office, I said. I need your signature on the roommate release form, or we'll do early termination. I'm giving you first choice. If you want to keep the apartment, you can apply to qualify on your own. If not, we'll terminate. Either way, I'm done. She stared at the paper like it was a death certificate. You can't leave, she said, voice cracking. We're engaged. I'm ending the engagement, I said. Legally and practically. Marissa's eyes went hard. So that's it. After everything, you're just abandoning me. I'm leaving a situation that doesn't respect me. I said. That's not abandonment. That night, I slept on the couch. Not because I was devastated. Because I didn't want to share a bed with someone who had already made herself available to the world and expected me to hold the door open. Marissa didn't sleep much. She roamed the apartment, muttering, opening, and closing cabinets. At midnight, she stood at the end of the couch like a judge. You know, she said softly, Jenna thinks you're being dramatic. She said a real man would fight for his relationship. I looked at her. A real man doesn't compete for his fiancée, I said. She scoffed and walked away. The next morning, I started rebuilding with the same quiet, unglamorous discipline I use at work. I called a moving company and booked a small truck for Wednesday. I reserved a climate-controlled storage unit on the edge of town. I ordered boxes. I bought a roll of packing tape. I updated my direct deposit so my paycheck went to my personal account only. I changed the beneficiaries on my benefits at work, which took 15 minutes and felt like ripping off a bandage. I found a one-bedroom sublet through a coworker, simple, clean month to month. The landlord emailed me the lease that afternoon, and I signed it. The confirmation email had my new address in bold at the top. Receipt number 4, if I needed one. Marissa's messages started immediately, not because she missed me, because she was losing control of the narrative. She texted at 9:07 a.m. This is not happening. Call me. At 9:22, you're acting like a child. At 10:03, I didn't even do anything yet. At 10:17, she left a voicemail that was half sobs, half anger. Ethan, please. You're ruining everything. You don't get to just decide this alone. I didn't respond. I was busy taping boxes. By the afternoon, her tone changed again. Can we just meet and talk like adults? She wrote. I love you. I was scared. I didn't mean it like that. Then, an hour later, I'm sorry. I'm actually sorry. Then, 2 hours after that, I hate you for doing this. I hate you. The emotional whiplash was almost comical, but I didn't laugh. I just kept packing. On day 3, I started a simple routine, because routines keep you from spiraling. Up at 6 o'clock. Coffee. 10-minute walk outside, even if it was cold. Quick workout in the apartment gym. Shower. Work. Dinner that didn't come from a drive-thru. Bed by 10:30. At the sublet, the first thing I bought was a plant. A little hardy one that didn't need much. I set it on the windowsill and watered it like it mattered. It became my tiny symbol of new life. Something that would grow quietly if I showed up consistently. Marissa noticed the silence and escalated. She started texting about practical things, your mail, your hoodie, the router, as if logistics were a bridge back to us. Then she tried sentimental. I found the card you gave me on our first anniversary. I cried. Then she tried seductive. I miss you. I miss us. I miss your hands. Then she tried guilt. My mom is devastated. You embarrassed me. Then she tried to rewrite history. You agreed to this. You said okay. I didn't argue with her. I sent one message, exactly one, because boundaries work best when they are clear and rare. I canceled the wedding because I'm not available as a backup plan. Please keep communication to lease logistics only. That was it. On Thursday, her sister called. Her sister's name was Danielle, and she'd always been polite to me in that carefully assessing way, like she was watching for flaws. Ethan, she said, not even greeting me. What are you doing? I'm moving on, I said. You can't just throw away an engagement because Marissa had doubts, she snapped. Everyone has doubts. She didn't express doubts, I said. She asked to sleep with other men. Danielle exhaled like I was being unreasonable. She was being honest with you. That takes courage. It takes entitlement, I said. Wow, Danielle said. So you're going to punish her for honesty. That's cold. I'm not punishing her, I said. I'm making a decision for my life. There was a pause. Then she tried another angle. Do you know how hard it is for women to feel safe settling down? She said. Do you know how many men cheat? She's trying to do this the right way. I kept my voice calm. Danielle, this is not a group discussion. You're being selfish, she said. I'm being final, I said. My boundary is this. I will not discuss my relationship with you. If you need lease information, you can ask Marissa to email me. Are you serious? She scoffed. Yes, I said. Take care. And I hung up. That night, Marissa left the voicemail that showed me exactly who she was when she didn't get her way. It came in at 12:48 a.m. Her voice was sharp, tired, and mean in a way I hadn't heard before. You think you're so noble, she said. You think you're some prize because you're stable and you pay your bills on time. You're not exciting, Ethan. You're not. You're safe. And I was trying to see if I could live with safe forever. But you're making this about your ego like you're the victim. If you walk away, don't act like you didn't throw me away over nothing. No slurs. No screaming. Just contempt, clean and unmistakable. I saved the voicemail. Not to use against her. Not to show anyone. I saved it because it was a reminder I could listen to if I ever got nostalgic and started editing the past. 2 weeks later, the lease situation resolved. Marissa didn't qualify to keep the apartment alone without a co-signer, and she refused to ask her parents because she didn't want to admit what happened. So we did early termination. The fee was steep, but it was finite. I signed my half. She signed hers. Paula emailed the confirmation that the lease would end on the last day of the month. Receipt number 5. I didn't talk about Marissa at work. I didn't post anything. I didn't try to control what people thought. Quiet power isn't about winning the gossip war. It's about getting your life back without losing yourself. For a while, it was just routine: work, gym, plant, sleep. Friends checked in. My brother tried to get me to go fishing. I went once, mostly to sit in the quiet and remind my nervous system that not every silence meant trouble. Then, one Saturday afternoon in late summer, I ran into her. Not at a gallery. Not at a wedding. Not in some dramatic place. It was a bookstore cafe near the Capitol, the kind with worn wooden tables and older people reading newspapers. I was there to pick up a book my coworker had recommended. I had my phone in one hand and a paper cup of coffee in the other. I turned around at the counter, and there she was, holding a stack of magazines like she'd been caught mid-thought. Marissa looked different. Not in a glow-up way. In a tired way. Her hair was pulled back with a cheap clip. Her eyes had shadows. She looked like someone who'd spent months running from consequences and found out they jogged behind you. Her face lit up with surprise, then panic, then something like relief. Ethan, she said too softly. I nodded. Marissa. She stepped closer, hands trembling around the magazines. Can we talk? Just for a minute. I didn't move. I didn't step away either. I just held my coffee and waited. I'm sorry, she said, and this time it didn't sound rehearsed. It sounded small. I handled everything wrong. I thought I was being mature. I thought I was protecting us. But I was selfish. I didn't respond yet. People apologize sometimes because they are sorry, and sometimes because they are lonely. Marissa swallowed. It wasn't what I thought it would be, she said, eyes glossy. I thought I needed experiences. I thought I'd feel empowered. I didn't. I just felt empty, and everyone found out. Jenna stopped talking to me. My mom won't even bring up the wedding without crying. I made a mess. She looked at me like she was waiting for me to rescue her from the mess she made. I miss you, she whispered. I miss us. I miss the way you anchored me. I want to fix it. I want another chance. I took a slow breath and kept my voice even. Marissa, you didn't ask for a chance, I said. You asked me to stay on a shelf while you compared me to other men. I'm not a backup plan. I'm not a placeholder. When you put our wedding on the line to experience other people, you ended the engagement. I just handled the paperwork. Her eyes crumpled. Ethan, I hope you build a life you're proud of, I said, and I meant it. But it won't be with me. I stepped to the side, picked up my book order from the counter when the barista called my name, and walked out into the sunlight without looking back. On the drive home, my phone stayed quiet. No buzzing, no spirals, just the steady hum of my car and the ordinary peace of a life that isn't constantly negotiating its own worth. If you've ever been handed an ultimatum like that, I'm curious, what would you have done, and what boundary would you set? Drop your thoughts in the comments.